I do want to kick it off with the story that's been making headlines recently because of the trial, because of the verdict, because of the resignation, and your nominee for a new attorney general. So we're talking about Kathleen Kane. You had been calling for her resignation for quite some time. We finally got it after the conviction a couple of months ago. I just wanted to get your thoughts initially on her decision finally to step down.
Well, as you said, I've been calling for it, and she did resign, and very shortly after that, I made as constitutionally mandated to do my nomination, and I think the Senate will confirm Bruce Beamer, I think tomorrow.
Yeah. As we sit here, they are scheduled to come into session tomorrow.
They're scheduled for tomorrow, and I think that's the way our democracy is supposed to work.
Rachel, you were down in Montgomery County for parts of that trial, and you were there when the verdict was reached. It took 4 hours, and that included a dinner break for the jury to return that verdict. Was there any surprise among the folks there as to how fast that verdict came?
Well, it certainly felt like a long time as a reporter waiting there without dinner being ordered in for us by the court. It seemed like they were really taking enough time to deliberate through all the pieces of evidence. And I think there was some surprise when it did come back with that full guilty verdict sheet, like not just the misdemeanors, those perjury charges as well.
Yeah, the felonies, definitely. As you mentioned, you have nominated Bruce Beamer to be the Attorney General to fill out the term. Before we talk about him, and I want you to tell us, why you like him and why you picked him, Bruce Castor, who was serving as first deputy under the Commonwealth Attorneys Act, the law is that the first deputy takes over the duties of the Office of Attorney General. He has done that. I have a question for you, though, and I asked your press secretary this, and it's a sensitive area, I know, because from the moment Kathleen Kane said she was resigning, resignation would take effect the following day. Bruce Castor said, "I'm the Attorney General." Not acting Attorney General, he said Attorney General. I don't see anywhere in the law, and I'm not an expert, and I know you're not. You often say, you leave things up to the lawyers, but can Bruce Castor call himself Attorney General? Because he's doing it in press releases.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have thought it was acting Attorney General, but he is a lawyer. I'm not. But the point is, I think when something like a resignation of an elected Attorney General happens, the governor is constitutionally mandated to appoint a successor. And then in the interim, yes, the number two person steps in and takes that place. So my responsibility was to move as quickly as I could, and I did that. And I think the Senate is doing the same thing, both Republicans and Democrats, and I applaud them for moving quickly to fill this gap.
I guess what I'm getting at is, did you feel like your toes were stepped on at all by the way he just assumed the title?
No, should I have?
I don't know. Because, and I've had this discussion with other folks and folks in the Capitol Press Corps, and I say, am I making too much of this? And the answer usually is no, and it's because this is an important title. It's arguably the second most important office in Harrisburg, electable office in Harrisburg. And so I think it's important when someone assumes that title that they rightfully can, and I'm not sure that's what's happened.
Yeah, and again, I don't know the legal issue here as to whether he has the right to call himself Attorney General rather than acting Attorney General, but that was his call. Yeah. My call was to nominate a successor and do my best to get that through the confirmation process, and we'll see if I'm successful tomorrow.
So talk about the thinking for Bruce Beamer. Why do you like him for the job?
Well, Bruce Beamer, I actually nominated him, and he was confirmed unanimously, I believe, for Inspector General. So he's a member of my cabinet. And I spent a lot of time thinking about and looking at different resumes as to who might take the Inspector General's position. The original Inspector General moved on to another position in another state. And so I was very impressed with what I saw. He was an assistant prosecutor out in Allegheny County. And I read through the cases that he thought were most important in his career, and I think he showed a sensitivity, I think a talent, an ability to do his job, a sense of fairness that I think is really important in that job. And then I thought was important in the Inspector General's job. So I think he was a good choice, and he was somebody who I think both Democrats and Republicans in the Senate thought was qualified. He had been number 2 in the Attorney General's office. He had a good reputation among his peers in the Attorney General's office, and right now, I think someone who has that kind of experience is just what we need.
And he was number 2 under Kathleen Kane, so he is battle tested.